Hello my dear gardeners. Evergreens coming out of winter can tell you a lot with their foliage, how they're struggling and how they're thriving. So today let's talk about what we can do in spring to make sure that our evergreens are thriving in our gardens. The first thing what we need to do, we need to inspect our arborvitaes, our boxwoods, azaleas, rhododendrons, right? And see if there is deer damage. Of course, some of them are not eaten by deer, but it's very tough on our arborvitaes. I can see them all over our area here in New England being eaten by deer. No desiccation, no broken or dead limbs. And usually evergreens are, they are resilient to a point in the garden. They are going to tell you that something was wrong previous year or in the winter. Now in spring, let me show you my Japanese holly, the situation around that shrub there. At our back porch we have beautiful Japanese holly growing, and it is more than 15 years old. It frames our porch really very nice. So last year, me out of nowhere decided that I want to put there a lounge chair, and very close to my Japanese holly. Here it is, a beautiful mature tree. Oh, you can see me in the window. Hello. So my Japanese holly didn't like it. It was staying green all season last year, and only now, coming out of winter, it responded by dead stems. You see how many dead stems are created here? And if I persevere with my lounge chair right here, my Japanese holly will almost certainly will become bare here. So my response to this situation would be to take these stems out, move my deep. I'm going to take all this stem out deep, right here, hide it in the foliage, and my Japanese holly will recreate new growth in spring. It didn't start the spring growth yet. So I have to rethink. The same with you. Check the damage. Your evergreens are going to tell you now what happened the previous year. And these evergreens contribute so much with their green foliage through the cold winter days to the structure of the garden, right? But because they are staying green year-round, they are using water and energy to keep them going through the winter months. And if our fall is very dry, these shrubs and trees are going into winter stressed out, and as a result they can come out of winter damaged and stressed. So what we can do, we can give them deep watering. Next good tip for evergreens care, especially arborvitaes, and these are emerald green arborvitaes, is mulching. Why is it so important with arborvitaes? Well, they have a very shallow root system, so what mulching does, it preserves moisture, and moisture is so important for the health of the root system. And because the root system is shallow, right, and not big generally with emerald green arborvitaes, they're so easy to keep in small pots. And that's why we can buy them so tall with such a small root ball, right? So let's see what I'm doing here to keep that mulch and that moisture locked in the soil. I'm using all the falling leaves, I'm not cleaning them here, and because we have this divider, all the stuff stays in. Of course, when our arborvitaes shed the branchlets, they fall in, and what I do, I just clean it here and leave all this a natural ground cover, which would happen in nature, right? And let it slowly decompose, and at the same time keep the moisture in. But there is a question: how do you fertilize your beautiful evergreens when you have this natural ground cover? Let's talk about that. Fertilizing evergreens is not really super important if they're growing in ideal situation. For example, my boxwoods don't really like to grow on beaming sun locations. They prefer semi-shade location. Arborvitaes love basking in the sun, and they will struggle in the shade. So if you have ideal situation, you don't really need to fertilize your evergreens. But if you have situation like me in the garden, there would be two fertilizers which I would recommend. And there is a special one, especially formulated for evergreen shrubs and trees in your garden. It's by Arborvitae company and it's organic. I like to use organic products in my garden. I don't like to use anything artificial, but it's up to the gardener, right? And by the way, look at this ancient, well, it's not ancient yet, pot which is in the process. So if you want to see the beautiful result of this and other DIY projects, please do subscribe to my channel, right? All right, let's talk about this. And generally, you can use any slow release fertilizer for your garden, which is for a general purpose. Plant tone, you know, all-purpose plant food, that's also organic. Or you can go ahead and buy yourself specially formulated for evergreens, something for evergreens. And because those roots are usually very shallow, you cannot scratch the soil and incorporate plant food into the soil. That's a usual suggestion for all other plants, right? So that's very important to keep in mind. You don't want to damage those shallow roots. So what you do, if you have already the cover, you move the cover aside, spread your fertilizer and put the cover back. What I like to do for my arborvitaes there, emerald greens, because they're growing in slight shade, I like to feed them with fish emulsion. Let me show you how I do that, because I didn't feed them yet. So this is what I'm using. I'm using fish fertilizer, and the recommended dose is for shrubs 3 tablespoons per gallon of water per 2 feet of plant height. So I would need to use quite a few of probably they are taller than me now, or my height. So I would need to use quite a lot of fish fertilizer. I don't like to do that. I like to combine this with the natural plant food, and I don't do it at the same day. Kind of fish fertilizer goes first and then plant food goes second. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use just maybe 2 tablespoons per gallon of water. So my watering can has 2 gallons here, and I just do a blob, you know, and it is potent. Mix it well. And a beautiful meal is ready for our arborvitaes. And I'm going to use 2 gallons per tree. So there are 7 of them growing here. So 7 times 2, 14 gallons of fish fertilizer will go here. So these are the tips how to care for our evergreens in the garden. I hope you found them helpful. I want all of us to have beautiful gardens and enjoy them. I will see you in our next video. Happy gardening!